Let's bring in
Okay.
the conversation. Brother Ahmed is saying you'll have to unmute yourself firstly, Brother Ahmed. Welcome to Friday Night Live. Tell us about the MPAC involvement with the campaigning around the Uyghur Muslims and their plight. And are you seeing more positive response? Are you seeing the Muslim community come on board? And what further do you expect from them, and what further can they do?
Assalamu alaikum. Jazakallah khairan for inviting me. So before I start talking about all the different things that everyone can get involved with, the first and primal point to take in mind is the intent, the motivation. Let's boil it down, bring it back to the first point. Why should Muslims give a damn about Muslims on the other side of the world? Because really it comes down to a test of our iman. How connected do we feel to our own ummah? How connected do we feel to our brothers and sisters? If we feel nothing, that says something about our iman. And so what Allah does with those He loves, He tests those He loves. And we want to be those who are loved by Allah. We need to see this as a test of our iman. We need to do something for our ummah in East Turkestan. That's the very, very first point that I hope your listeners take in mind. This is an opportunity. Allah has given us an opportunity. Those of us who are comfortable, who are not under oppression, who have a political voice, who have the possibility to boycott and lobby and so on. This is a test from Allah. Do we use these blessings for His cause? Secondly, we need to do something. Fine. How do we do it in the best way possible? Alhamdulillah, this initiative by Islam 21C, stand for Uyghurs. This is the best way to do it, in a united, coordinated way. Because, let's be honest, one person can't change the world. One person can't change the world, and on oppression on this scale, one organization can't change the world. It needs to be a coalition. And the great thing about working with people, about working with organizations, is if an individual can burn out. An individual might get the wrong idea, but by working in a coalition, by working in a team, we can give each other nasiha, we can strategize, we can look at the bigger picture. So MPACUK, what we have done last year, we found some Uyghur activist organizations. We found some masajid that wanted to raise awareness in the masajid, and we brought them together. Why? Because if the Muslims of the UK want to help the situation of the Muslims in East Turkestan, we have to work together. No one is going to change anything by themselves. And so that's the way we got to look ahead. We got to think, how can the UK Muslims get all of their political power together and, like using a sledgehammer on a tiny nail, make the most consequential impact? So, there's so much that we can do as a coalition, as individuals. But the first thing that we have to keep in mind, it's a test of our iman. And secondly, if we want to sincerely make consequential impact, it has to be in an organized coalition kind of way, exactly like this campaign. And then we can start to talk about what we can do. So much we can do. Get your local mosque involved. So, sorry, does anyone want to jump in?
Go on, continue, Ahmed.
Get your local mosque involved. Talk to them about doing khutbahs about the Uyghurs. Invite Uyghur activists and witnesses to come to your mosque. If you can't do that, fine. Maybe you're a university student. Get your ISOCs involved. Universities and ISOCs have a key role to play in two ways. Again, inviting speakers down. Also in divesting from Chinese companies that are profiting from oppression. I mentioned boycotting. Anyone can boycott. In terms of donations and fundraising, there's a lot of legal campaigns that, inshallah, have been going and will continue to go on, and that needs money. Unfortunately, that's the way the world works. To make a legal case, you need to have money. But that's, alhamdulillah, another opportunity that we can participate in. And like Dr. Salman mentioned, next Thursday, 1st of July, outside the Chinese embassy, 5 p.m., if I'm correct, between 5 to 8 p.m., inshallah, it's a rally. And why our rally is important? Because despite all the other things that we will be doing, visually demanding, visually coming together and making that demand, and not just making the demand, but making the point that we are here to stay. This concern and this cause is here to stay. That needs to be said. That needs to be done. So there's so much that we can do, that we will do, inshallah, with Allah's will. But it all comes down to that initial point. We have to do it in an organized, focused way. We have this coalition. There are so many, alhamdulillah, so many organizations involved. So please participate with these organizations. All of these different organizations, they have so many different strengths, different focuses. Whichever one works for you, join in with it, inshallah.
Right, Jazakallah khair for that, Brother Ahmed Hussein. Jazakallah for also really connecting it to the Aqidah and motivating, the believing listener, and connecting it to their responsibility as a Muslim, as a believer. And I want to go to Ahmed on this question, right? Very, very briefly, Brother Ahmed, right? Last month we were campaigning on Palestine. Right, the month before that, we were campaigning on another topic. And do you see what I'm saying? So there might be a bit of lethargy creeping in. I know you addressed the Aqidah issue slightly before, right? But address this issue for some of our listeners who are thinking, and then the Kashmir issue. Imran Khan said, Kashmir issue is more important for me, in Pakistan, right? Is it a case that Kashmir is more important for me because I'm of Pakistan origin, or Palestine is more important for me because I'm an Arab, and therefore the Uyghur issue isn't quite there?
So firstly, I've mentioned the ummah point. I don't want to repeat myself, but a Muslim who is facing injustice in one place, it's as if it's your own family member facing injustice. But yeah, people will feel lethargy. But there's another way to look at it as well. I think I can't remember who said it, but there's a simple statement: injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. So for example, we see what the Palestinians are facing. No, we saw the measures that Israel started implementing on the Palestinians a couple of decades ago. These are measures that is now very commonplace in Kashmir, inflicted on them by India. And the policing tactics, the military tactics, we're seeing those same tactics on the streets of the US during the Black Lives Matter protests and so on. Injustice anywhere becomes injustice everywhere. Right. And if that still doesn't motivate you, then at least look at it this way. If you don't like to see what's happening in East Turkestan, one day it will come to your doorstep. And it's just a matter of time. If it's not yourself, it's going to be your children.
So I've got a minute and a half, and I want to give that last minute and a half to Dr. Salman just to wrap it up and just to give a summary of the key actions and what we're asking the people to do in terms of getting involved. But I like your statement: injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. Jazakallah, Brother Ahmed.